be with you here again, my fellow designers. Welcome back to the Heavy Pattern Drafts. On this very video, we're going to be talking about how to measure kids accurately. We find that most people that sew for adults, they usually have issues when it comes to pattern drafting for kids, and that's because they don't know how to measure kids. Most times it has to do with the tummy area of the children, because most children, their tummy areas are usually protruded. So on this very video, we'll be talking all about that, how to get the right waist measurement of the child, the armhole, the neck width of the child, and every other thing you need to know about measuring kids accurately. So this is my daughter here, Zina. Zina, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
She will be helping us today. So what you want to do is to look at the crease, that's the separation between the arm and the body. You can actually do this as well for adults, but this is the separation. If you look at this, there's a crease here. That is where the arm connects to the body, to the shoulder. So you want to look at that area very well and probably use your hand to trace. Now you place your tape from that very point, and you take your tape like this. You don't measure your shoulder width like this. You go like this, and you measure to the other crease. And here we have 11. My daughter here is 4 years old, so this applies to children of any age, even babies. This particular measurement is for a dress with sleeve. If you're making a dress without a sleeve, then you might need to take off some inches from this measurement, meaning that my daughter here is 11 inches, that's her shoulder width. If I'm making a sleeveless dress like this one she's wearing, I'll take 1 inch on both sides. That would give me 9 inches. So I'll end up using 9 inches for a sleeveless dress, or even more. So it totally depends on the style of dress you're making. The next thing after measuring the shoulder width is to take your vertical measurements. I mean, all the measurements that are coming from the shoulder of the child. That's the highest point of the shoulder. And I'll be placing my tape like so. And I'll be measuring to the waist region. So one of the things that you will find out is you would want to know the exact place, the exact location of the waist. And most people usually find difficulty in getting this. They don't know if the waist should be here because of the protruded tummy of the child. They don't know if the waist should be here or here. So this is how to get it. Measure to the low waist of the child. From that measurement, we have 12 for Zina. 12 inches. So for you to know the waist, I mean the natural waist, what we're trying to do now is to get where the natural waist of the child is. So 12 inches, Zina's low waist. So we want to know where our high waist is. So you take 2 inches upwards. So if we take 2 inches away from 12, we're going to end up with 10. So that is the position where you should place the waist, I mean the natural waist of the child. 2 to 3 inches depending. If you're finding it difficult to measure from the highest point of the shoulder to the low waist, then all you need to do is just measure from the highest point of the shoulder to the belly button point, and then you take 2 inches off that measurement and you're good to go. Another thing you want to know is how to get the armhole length of the child. So what you want to do is to measure the bust of the child. So this is it. And place 2 fingers right on that inwards in that tape. So this is 22 inches for Zina. It's not too tight and it's not too free. So 22 inches. So what we're trying to get is to get the armhole length. We want to know where, when we're pattern drafting, we want to know where the armhole length of the child would end. So this is how you can get that naturally. So whatever the bust measurement of the child is, you divide that measurement by 5 and you add 1.5 to it. So if you divide 22 by 5 and you add 1.5 to it, would arrive at 5.9 from the shoulder line. From the shoulder line, the beginning line you started with on your pattern. You place your tape right on that line and measure downwards. And that's where the armhole of the child ends. And this applies to any age, whether they are babies or they are teenagers or even adults. So anytime you want to get the armhole measurement of the child, please use that method. It's usually easier to work with. Now the next thing you want to do is to know the neck width of the child. You want to know from this center line, because this is center line when you're pattern drafting. Center line is here, and center line is directly from the bone, the center bone of the child. That's where the center back is. So you want to know how wide the neck is. From here to here. Remember, when you're pattern drafting, here is assumed to be on fold. So if this is on fold, it means when you open it up, you're going to have it on both sides. So if you want to know from here to here, the distance, you can actually take that measurement. You can place the tape here and maybe place a ruler here to know how wide the child's neck is. And from that point, you can now start extending based on the style you want to achieve for that child. So another trick you can do, instead of measuring the child and placing the tape here and measuring how wide, instead of you doing all of that, one thing you can do is to divide the child's bust measurement by 12. And whatever you arrive at, you are going to measure from the center back or center front, because it has to be the same thing. You measure, so if for Zina it's 1 point, it should be about 1.8 or so. So 1.8, it means from here, it means that from the center back of the child or center front, whichever one, is 1.9. That's how wide her neck is. So, but that doesn't mean that. It's just a guide for you to know the distance, how you want to. So for this dress now that she's wearing, so if I know already that her neck is as wide as 1.9, then if I want it, like for this gown, it's actually like 2.5. So I can actually increase it, extend it, depending on the shape or style of the neck I want to achieve for that dress. Now for the waist, that's 2 inches you came up with from this low waist to get the natural waist, which is the high waist of the child. That is exactly where you want to measure the circumference of the child's waist. So that's when you're taking the waist, you don't measure on the low waist. You measure at that 2 inches above the low waist of the child, the low waist hair. So 2 inches above it is hair, which we did initially. So if I measure around it, that will be the waist for, stand well, that will be the waist for her. So for the waist, she has 22.5, which is actually bigger than the bust.